It is everyone's dream to become successful one day. To live life on their own terms where they don't have to be slaves to anyone. This is Ellie, who wants to fulfill her mother's dream, not her own. She wants to go to London and become a fashion designer. She wants to create a ruckus and make people cry. But as she is thinking while sitting in her small town, is the outside world like this? You all know that very well. Meanwhile, her grandmother called from downstairs that her letter has come. She had been selected in the Fashion College of London and the invitation had come. She jumped with joy, but her grandmother was nervous inside. Because London is not the same as before. It is full of thieves and pickpockets. There is a lot of dirty people there. Her grandmother had gone to London once with her mom. The streets there, expensive hotels where they could not afford dinner. The fancy dresses etc. in the fancy shops were amazing. They could not buy them but they earned a lot of profit by copying their designs. Ellie promised her maternal grandmother that when she settles down in London and becomes a big fashion designer, she will call her to London. Then both of them will have dinner together in the most expensive hotel in London. The next morning she looked at her mom in the mirror, said goodbye and left. She reached London listening to 60s songs all the way. From here she took a taxi to Charlotte Street because her hostel was there. The driver of her taxi did not have good eyesight. He was also talking nonsense to her. So Ellie made an excuse and got down from the taxi and went to a shop. To get rid of the taxi driver, she also had to buy a drink. After escaping all these troubles, she finally reached the hostel. Her roommate's name was Jocasta. Jocasta was from Manchester. When she came to know that Ellie was from Redruth, a small town in Cornwall, whose name she had not even heard till date, she was very surprised. It means that a girl from a village has come to study fashion designing. Jocasta asked her about her mom and dad. She does not know who Ellie's father was. Her mother is also dead. She was just 7 years old then. Her grandmother brought her up. By the way, Ellie's mother is dead, so who was that girl in the mirror, to whom she said bye and left for home? Anyway, in this hostel, there was only one fridge for all the students, in which they used to keep their belongings by writing their names on them. Here, smoking cigarettes etc. was also a common thing, so Ellie also had to drink with them. They left for the pub late at night. There was a boy who was keeping an eye on Ellie from the very beginning. Ellie did not like this gossiping, so she went to the bathroom. After some time, all of them also went to the bathroom next to smoke. They were all talking about Ellie, that how boring that village girl is. Jocasta even said that she is getting disgusted by her. She does not know how they will live together. Ellie did not like these things at all. While returning from the pub, she found a banner, on which it was written that they need girls for work in the pub. That pub was in front of it and an old man came out from it and kept looking at Ellie smilingly. She was happy that she had managed to get a part-time job. She went home and was about to fall asleep with some great 60s songs when Jocasta came with her boyfriend. Ellie did not understand whether to stay inside or go out. The next night the situation was even worse. Their room looked more like a pub than a room. She could not even sleep in her own room. It was here that she met John. He was a black guy but his mannerisms were quite different from the others. Next morning when she woke up, everyone had left for college leaving her behind. She rushed to attend the lecture. John had already reserved a seat for her, so she did not face much difficulty. After the break, she also talked to her grandmother. She told her that she was fine. She had found good friends here and she was enjoying a lot. But these were just things to do. Obviously she was lying to make her grandmother happy. Then her grandmother asked if she was seeing her mother's shadow there too. Well, she used to see her mother's shadow all the time at her grandmother's house. But there was nothing like that here. She got a slip in the college itself. There was a vacant room for women in Soho. Ellie reached there after talking to the landlady. Her name was Collins. She had some conditions for the tenant. Like, you can't smoke cigarettes in the room, no boy is allowed after 8 p.m. If you want to stay, you have to keep the room clean. Ellie liked this room. As far as the rent is concerned, she has to pay 2 months' rent in advance and 2 months' deposit. The thing is that people disappear with their lanterns and mats overnight. That's why they have to take deposit, advance rent etc. After settling everything, Ellie shifted here. Songs of the 60s era were played and she slept. When she woke up in her dream, There was a very long street in front of her. As soon as she came out of it, she reached the era of the 60s. It was not very difficult to understand this by looking at the models of cars and the clothes of the people. Ellie entered the Café de Paris with a thud. There was a servant on duty who took her coat from Ellie. In the mirror, her face was showing someone else's face instead of her own. Then that girl went away completely. Ellie started following her surprisingly. With red cheeks and sparkle in her eyes, oh how beautiful she was looking. This was the reason that as soon as she stepped into the gathering, all the eyes of the lovers were fixed on her. Alalan even came to invite her for dinner. But she had come to meet the owner of this place. After getting rid of the old man, she met the bartender. She told him that she needed work. She is a singer and has come to meet the owner. The bartender told her about Jack, that he has given chance to many girls. He was with the singer Cilla Black who was performing on stage. That means the guy seemed genuine. This girl met him and told him her name was Sandy. And she wants to become the next Cilla Black here. Jack interviewed her a little. Sandy was full of confidence and nothing is difficult for her. Be it dance, drama or singing, everything is top class for her. Seeing her performance, Jack agreed to give her an audition this week. Jack beat up the old man who was after Sandy and made a place in Sandy's heart. You can say that Sandy had fallen in love with Jack. By the way, many people from different states come to London with the dream of becoming a star. But they get lost in the glamour here. Jack was telling this from his experience. Sandy felt that she was not like the others. But this is the interesting thing. Everyone thinks that they are special and different from others. If you remember this place, then at present Ellie lives in this house where Jack has come to drop Sandy. Both of them promised to meet again at 8 o'clock the next evening. Then Sandy changed her clothes and went to sleep. As soon as Ellie tried to touch her, she woke up. She came out of the dream. The next day in the class, everyone was busy preparing the design of their dress. Ellie liked Sandy's dress very much. So she was copying it. Then Jocasta saw something on Ellie's neck. They all understood that Ellie was with some boy at night. But she was in a dream. Then how did this mark appear? Anyway, after the holiday, John came to meet her and said that they should go for a walk somewhere tonight. But Ellie had to meet someone else, so she refused. As soon as she fell asleep, Jack had come to her door. Today he took her for audition. Ellie performed, but the person taking the audition did not like her much. Jack praised her a lot. It is obvious why he was doing all this. Sandy was no less. She said that as long as you support me I am yours. This means that she is only interested in success at any cost. Respect etc. can go to hell. Just then the alarm rang and Ellie woke up. She was so inspired by Sandy that she changed her look to be exactly like Sandy. She also went to buy a white jacket which Sandy used to wear. Then her eyes fell on the building where Sandy had gone for audition. All the places which she is seeing in her dream are present in London. Is the dream seen by her the truth of the past? Well, whatever it is, she had to pay $375 only for this white jacket. When the budget went haywire, she went to a pub looking for a part-time job where there was a vacancy. Although she had no experience of working in a pub, the pub owner still hired her. There was an old man there who kept staring at her as if he knew her. He kept following Ellie even after she came out of the pub. Actually, Ellie looked familiar to him. What is your mother's name? The old man asked. Ellie told him her mother's name and also that she is dead. She had ended her life herself. Perhaps her untimely death must be the reason why Ellie sees her shadow. From here she reached home and got lost in her dreams. Today there was a big event in Café de Paris. The audience was packed. Then the curtain was removed and the program started. It was not the kind of place Ellie was thinking. The one whom she considered her role model was also a part of this naked dance. The one who gave her a chance was also present there. Ellie was shocked to see such absurdity. When she got up to leave, she saw that the old man with whom Jack had quarreled and seduced Sandy was there. Both of them were together. That is, both of them together trapped Sandy. Ellie left to go out but reached Sandy's makeup room. It was clearly visible in her eyes that what dreams she had come here with and what she was made into. But this was just the beginning. An old businessman liked Sandy. She thought that Jack would come forward to defend her because they both loved each other. Unfortunately, nothing like that happened. Jack was also among them. If she wanted to become a top performer, she would have to please them. Sandy refused, and Ellie went back, but guards were present at every corner. Somehow she ran to her room. Then she saw that there was money lying on the table and Sandy was snoring on the bed. Ellie started sympathizing with her. She wanted Sandy to somehow get out of this mess. Just then the sound of flushing started coming from the bathroom. The person who kept the money on the table had not yet left. Stay away from him. Just then the alarm rang, due to which she came out of the dream. Just then that old man held her hand. That is, a dream within a dream. Her heart started beating at the speed of 180. Seeing Sandy's actions, Ellie understood that such a stupid girl who agreed to become a prostitute to become a top performer cannot be her role model. As soon as she went to class, he started tearing her copy dress. But she agreed on the teacher's request. Everyone was surprised to see her behavior. This was a good opportunity for John to talk to her. So in the evening, he came to the pub to inquire about her, and told her that he is standing with her in every difficulty. She can tell him her problem whenever she wants. He is always ready to listen to her. When the pub got empty at the time of break, Ellie requested her boss to let her sleep in the pub. But it was of no use. In the end, she had to go to her home. Because she had no other place to stay. Obviously, she did not want to see this dream anymore. Then the audio player started automatically. Jack came and forcibly dragged her to do prostitution. This Café de Paris that you are seeing. It was not a cafe but the biggest hub of prostitution. Now Sandy became someone's choice every night. There would be a conversation between them. Everyone would start with her name first. Some called her Julie and some called her Karina, meaning every night she called them a new man and gave them a new name. But the work was the same for all. One day she met a different man who wanted to know her by her real name and not by her fake name. He was a policeman who had come as an angel to get Sandy out of this quagmire. Ellie was also worried that this was a golden opportunity for her. But after losing everything, she did not want to get out of this quagmire. Then suddenly Ellie woke up from her sleep. No, she did not come out, she was still in her dream. She could see Sandy on the ceiling of the house like a mirror. She could also see Sandy's customers whose faces were very scary. Sandy was also visible in the mirror. Before they could do anything to her, Ellie ran out of the room. When she opened the room again, everything had become normal. The day passed in the classroom, but as the night fell, she started getting worried. Then John came to talk to her. But Ellie agreed to go with him before he could say anything. Today was student union night. It is just like Halloween. Whatever it was, Ellie was only interested in passing the night. Meanwhile Jocasta's eyes fell on both of them. She gave them a drink from her side. After which both of them lost their senses. Hearts started to beat with joy. They were having a lot of fun. But not for long. Forget sleep. Those shadows started appearing to her even while she was awake. Wherever she looked, she saw them. Sandy was also dancing in the same crowd. Then what? She immediately left the party and ran away. But even if she ran away, where would she go? Then she invited John to her house. She was thinking in her mind that John will get what he wants and Ellie will get rid of her fear. They secretly went to the bedroom because boys were not allowed in the room after 8 o'clock. After doing all this, Ellie thought that she would not see scary scenes. But she was completely wrong. She saw that Jack was on top of Sandy with a knife. Sandy was struggling to escape from him. John was completely shocked to see Ellie's behavior. He was unable to understand what happened to her suddenly. Ellie was looking at the ceiling and shouting non-stop, "Leave her, leave her." Jack killed Sandy in no time. Meanwhile, hearing her screams, the landlady came. She had already forbidden that there should not be any boy in the house after 8 o'clock. She would take revenge from her in the morning. In this state of fear, she remained awake the whole night. Then in the morning, she apologized to Miss Collins that this would not happen again. By the way, did a girl named Sandy live in her room? Did she die in her room? Collins gave a very strange answer. That these are old buildings of London. Here, in every room of every house, someone has died. If you look at it, countless girls came and went to live in his room. Who knows which of them was Sandy or not? Many do not even tell their real name. Ellie was not able to understand how to get out of this problem. When she went to college, she started seeing Sandy's shadow there too. Forget about nights, she started seeing those shadows even during the day. She ran with all her might. Wherever she went, those shadows were present there. While running, she saw the police station. She went there and complained that a girl named Sandy was raped in her room. Her pimp Jack had beaten her. When the police came to know that this was an incident of the 60s, and Ellie had seen him in her dream, they started thinking that she was crazy. Then Ellie gave them a strong proof. In the pub where she works in Soho area, an old man comes there daily to drink alcohol. Not at first, but ever since Ellie colored her hair like Sandy and started wearing clothes like her, that old man started noticing her. He started finding excuses to talk to her on every small thing. Once he even tried to find out whether Ellie was Sandy's daughter. Ellie thinks that the old man is the same Jack who killed Sandy in his youth. The police were laughing after listening to her ridiculous story. There was a lady detective among them who trusted Ellie. She agreed to investigate Sandy's case. But just Sandy's name won't do. At least the real name of that girl should be known. Then what? Ellie came back to the library and started searching the articles of murders that happened in the 60s, so that she could find out Sandy's real name. Meanwhile, Jack also came there after seeing her. He was ashamed of last night. Then Ellie told him everything, that Jack was not at fault last night. He saw a girl being murdered in the room whose name was Sandy. Her murderer is still roaming free. Don't know why Ellie is doing all this, but if she is not able to get justice for Sandy, she will go mad. Jack also started helping her in finding out Sandy's real identity. At the end of the 60s, there were reports of many missing people, but there was no mention of Sandy's death anywhere. They could not find a single article related to Sandy. Then someone put a hand on her shoulder. Those shadows had returned to scare her again. When the wheat ran away, there was no life left in Oahu. It seemed that this saying was made for Ellie only. Those shadows were present in every corner, alley and lane of the library. It seemed that today they would scare her and kill her. Better than running away, she attacked one of them with scissors. It was a blessing that John stopped him at the right time. Otherwise Jocasta would have been lost here. Burning with anger, she went to complain against Ellie. Before the security people could come, she ran out of the college. At the same time, she saw Sandy and started following her. On the way, those shadows caught her. Somehow, she crossed them and Jack and reached Sandy. Then he pushed her. The next moment, her illusion broke and she found out that there was no one there. She was alone. Then she saw Jack, who was going towards the pub. Ellie also reached there behind him. Her boss was waiting for her to come, because she had come an hour late today. Ellie turned on the recorder and very cleverly asked the old man about Sandy. Sandy was a famous courtesan of her time. Who doesn't know her? Then you must also know who killed her. At that time, a rumor was spread that Alex killed Sandy, after which, she was not seen by anyone. Then Ellie started accusing him that you killed her. I live in his room, I have seen that scene. Engrossed in all these things, the old man met with an accident. Ellie's boss immediately called the police. They informed that a former sub-inspector had met with an accident in front of their pub. Ellie was shocked because she thought that he was Jack, who was not a policeman but a pimp. The boss told her that his name was Lindsay. He had worked in this red light area for years. This was the name of the policeman who wanted to save Sandy. Very bad thing happened to him. Ellie was tired of all this. She called her grandmother and started crying that she had disappointed them. She had disappointed her mother. She was leaving her studies and coming back tomorrow. Then she met John. He was the only one who could help her. Ellie told him that she wanted to leave the city right now. John immediately brought his car for her. After reaching home, she started pleading in front of the landlady that she needed the deposit money and she was leaving the room. She would compensate for their loss after reaching home. John did not come with her because Collins might get angry if she saw him again. Collins had no objection in returning the deposit. She offered him tea with peace of mind. Then she asked him why he complained to the police. He shouldn't have. The lady detective had come to question him. Anyway, what she said was true. A girl had died in the upstairs room. And that girl was none other than Miss Alexandra Collins. That is, she is Sandy. Ellie was shocked to know this. So the thing is that Sandy was cheated more than 100 times in that room. She died every time. She wanted to throw out of her mind all those people who cheated her. So she started with Jack, the one who crushed her dreams. She trapped him in the quagmire of prostitution. Sandy sent him to hell. She stabbed him 100 times with a knife. After this, she killed all those people who came to her bedroom. It kept getting printed in the paper that those people had disappeared one after the other. But the truth was something else. All of them were buried under Sandy's floor. Well, now you will not be able to complain to anyone. Actually, Collins had mixed something in her tea and made her drink it. Anyway, the police already knew that Ellie was mad. So they will not be surprised at her suicide. The old ladies had made a great plan, but they did not know that Ellie was not alone. John started ringing the doorbell when it was late. Sandy got irritated and picked up a knife. Ellie beat him in an attempt to stop him. But what happened was that the burning cigarette fell on the books kept there, due to which it caught fire. As soon as John came inside, Sandy stabbed him. He fell on the floor and started writhing in pain. Then Sandy took the knife and pounced on Ellie. 60s songs were playing in the background. Sandy was attacking him with the knife. What a great scene was going on. I mean, sometimes Hollywood people create a stir. Anyway, somehow John distracted Sandy on the pretext of fire. Ellie got a chance to recover. She kicked him and ran to her room. As soon as she went to make the call, the dead woke up. Those whom Sandy had buried under the floor. Some even started coming out by breaking the wall. It seemed that all of them together would destroy Ellie. It was difficult for Ellie to escape from them. All of them together tied her to the bed. Then somehow Sandy opened the door and came inside. The dead were still afraid of her. As soon as they saw her, their lights went off. Suddenly everyone hid. Seeing her, their mood changed. Sandy never wanted this life. All those whom she killed deserved it. The police had also come outside. Sandy did not want to go to jail. For her, her whole life was like a jail. Before she slit her throat, Ellie saved her. Ellie understood her pain. But for Sandy, there was no other way but to die. Ellie and John were saved while there was still time. Sandy burned to death along with the house. Ellie topped the college in the end. Her designer clothes were the best. Now her grandmother was also with her. Finally, she fulfilled her mother's dream. So friends, this was the story of last night in Soho.